Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of This Old Tabletop. I'll be filling in for Bob Vila. I am your favorite dungeon master, DM Andy, and today we're gonna build tables. Today I'm going to show you how to build 4 different tabletops 4 different ways. I'm going to cut down a popsicle stick with a pair of cutting pliers, and I'm going to cut it down to fit 28mm miniatures as well as I can. Just eyeball it. I'm going to take a small piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut it down to smaller than the 3 pieces. I'm going to use this for the bottom of the table to glue these popsicle sticks on. Just smear your glue around and stick each popsicle stick on. I like to start with the middle one first so I can make sure I've got enough room to put the other 2 on. Once you get them on there, just push it down one good time and let that dry. For the next table, I'm just going to use a small Jenga block and a small woodsy that I found in my junk drawer. Put a little Elmer's glue on, stick the top on, set it aside to dry. Now for this third one, I'm just going to glue 2 of the small Jenga blocks together, and from there I'm going to cut down a piece of cardstock, just smaller than the top of the table, only this time I'm going to glue it on the top of it like some sort of tablecloth. From there, my first table had dried pretty well, so I went into my bits bag and got some of those beads I used in my throne room video, and I just used them for the legs of the table. These beads are perfect for little bitty D&D tables. You're going to love these. And now onto my war room table. I'm going to use 2 large Jenga blocks this time and put it together just like I did the second table. I'm going to cut down a piece of cardstock to fit the top of it. I'm just going to glue it on. At this point, once you've got all 4 tables assembled, you're going to want to let them dry and set them aside. And then it's on to the paint shop, where I'm going to take flat black spray paint and just coat each one top and bottom, every nook and cranny. And back in my Beats laboratory, I'm just going to take some acrylic paint. This is a chestnut I got from Amazon for like 57 cents a tube. And I'm just going to streak it down the tables. I'm going to cover every part of the table that looks like wood with this chestnut paint on all 4 tables. This part's going to take a little while, so just sit back, listen to DM Andy in the background, and enjoy painting all your tables. You don't have to get this perfect. In fact, the less paint you use creates more like a wood texture in all the surfaces that you're painting. I tried not to get any paint on the tops of the 2 Jenga block tables because I'm going to paint them a lighter tan color, almost a caramel, so it looks more like leather from an animal or just something from that time period that makes it look more medieval for your fantasy games. Now, if you wanted to, you could turn these into more of a stone textured set of tables by either cutting up small bricks and going all the way around the outside, or just sponging on dark gray, then a light gray. In case you didn't just want to go with wooden tables, there's always a way to make lots of different tables with these methods. And now I'm going to paint those tablecloths that lighter caramel color, and I'm not going to get it on very thick. I'm going to leave it pretty light so it's kind of streaky. Then once that paper absorbs all that paint, it'll look really cool. Next, I'm going to work on candles for the table. I cut up some small coffee stir straws, and I just cut the ends off some toothpicks and shoved them through, so the toothpick sticks up out of the straw looking like a candle wick. And then I put a little hot glue on the tip of each toothpick to make it look like a flame. And we're going to paint all that in later, but take a look. They turn out pretty good. Now I'm going to add a few more candles to the next table, the one with the smaller tablecloth on it. Only this time I'm also going to stick a Citadel skull right on those candles to make it look like a mad scientist table or some kind of warlock's prey table, or I don't know. Just stick skulls on things. They look great. Next, I'm going to go to Wylock's trick where you buy a bunch of beads and you glue beads on beads to make little bottles. Some of the ones I have a little spiral effect on the inside, so they look like some sort of magic potion. Then I'm going to cut down 2 pieces of popsicle stick and some cardstock and a little piece of paper, and I'm going to hot glue them all together so it looks like a small book. Once I get all this stuff glued together in the way I like it, I'm going to doodle all over the pages, wrinkle them up a little bit, and then I'm just going to attach it to that tabletop so it looks like there's a hymn, some kind of Andonomicon, it's really cool to glue these little books to these tables like somebody's right in the middle of working on some kind of spell or reading some kind of prayer. I took some antique white and colored in those popsicle sticks so they look more like stacks of pages, more like a small ream of paper. Now for this next table, I want it to look more like an alchemist table. So I glued a metal bead down and then I glued a glass bead on top of it. So it looks more like something is setting in a heated tray or some kind of lab equipment. I took a plastic coated paper clip and I swirled it around a pencil so that it looks like those trickling tubes you see in the background of movies or Frankenstein's lab. I went ahead and glued more beads on and then attached that paper clip to the new bead. So it looks like one chemical's moving to the other. Then I went ahead and just glued on a couple of more bottles so it looks like somebody's been working at this table. That's a pretty good looking alchemist table right there, you gotta admit. Now this third small table, I'm going to decorate it with some candles and some bead bottles. But this time I want it to look more like some kind of correspondence is going on. Like there's a few scrolls laying on it where somebody's been writing letters for help or telling Obi-Wan Kenobi they're our only hope. Tried to kind of make it look like there's a lighting source and maybe some kind of ink bottle there. And then I just cut up tiny pieces of paper and rolled them up around a toothpick so that I can lay one down like it's a rolled open scroll. And then I made a second one that was rolled closed that I just put a little red dot of paint on to look like a wax seal. But I'll show you that here in a little bit. Then I got out some antique white and I just colored in my stir straw candles. Make them look more like real candles, and then I took some yellow and orange paint and colored in those flame tips I made out of hot glue. And it really makes those candles look real. Now, next, we're onto that war room table. So I made a big map that got toothpicks in the ends that are rolled up and glued to the edge of the paper. And then I took a pencil and I just free-handed on 2 continents and a few islands. I kind of made it look like some of the maps me and some of my players have used in the games over the years, so that way if I ever need it, I've got it. But one of the things that makes this work real well is draw a second light line around the continent that kind of shows the shallow water shorelines of each landmass. It makes a big difference. Once I got that there, I decided to draw a A in the middle of it. Not sure why I picked A. But I went ahead and made that one continent the continent of A, the Andean Kingdom. From there, I took some tiny little plastic and glass beads, and I used a little bit of white glue and a toothpick, and I started stacking them on the map, like when you see royalty moving military pieces around the map, trying to flank one another's armies as they stand around strategically arguing about what's going to happen next. Then I took some small Warhammer bits and glued them to the corner of the table to try to give them more of that regal design. Colored those in with a little shiny copper paint, and there you got it. You got a really, really, really good looking war room table. So if you need to act out that room being attacked, you got a cool table to put in the middle of the room. Have your rogue jump on it and come downward thrusting into an orc's face. This next step can be tricky because you don't want to overdo it. Just make sure when you try this, you do it with really, really dry paintbrush. I'm dipping in a little brown wash, and then I'm making sure there's almost nothing left on it as I go around each continent, leaving the continent and the islands white, but the paper looking aged. It really, really helps make this piece pop. Alright guys, and there you have it. Thanks for spending 10 minutes hanging out with your favorite dungeon master. I'm going to scroll across the screen and show you the wizards plotting against the Andean Kingdom as they use their alchemist tables, mad science skills, poisonous potions, and some pretty evil vibes to try to take over the kingdom. But not to fret, because the leaders of the Andean world have come together to stand over the war room table to decide the fate of the future of these kingdoms. Hey man, thanks for watching everybody. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends that this is the best show on the internet.